percent overall from the field, but he was also 50% from threes. He's 5 of 10.
I know you're out there. It's okay. Stand back there.
No, more than likely, you're going to get that number 1 seed. And so I want Houston to be ranked at number 1 and 8.
Welcome to this edition of If y'all can hear me, let me know, because something just kind of went off there. But I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Round Bar Review with this edition of Let's Rage Coogs, live from Fertitta Center. Andy Inez will be joining me shortly. He went to get pizza delivered to us from Star Pizza, our secondary sponsor. The show is, of course, presented by Steve Saxenian and the Saxenian Family. But Star Pizza, my man Andy is walking over here with a pizza for me. Thank you very much. But of course, everyone, be sure to stop by any of their locations every Tuesday during lunchtime for the all-you-can-eat buffet, which is outstanding. Star Pizza, as always, has free delivery since 1976. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the Houston Cougars thumping, I'm happy to say, the Texas Longhorns. It is always great to beat Texas in anything. But this edition of Let's Rage Cougs, Houston won 82-61. Let's get into it. Got the comments coming in hot and heavy on our YouTube channel at ncaaM, as well as on Houston Round Bar Review on YouTube, and ncaaM on Musk, Twitter, etc. Andy's feeding his face with some pizza before he joins us. Deion, I think, will join us momentarily as well. Walk on over to the camera, man. Walk on over.
Star Pizza, your official go-to pizza spot before or after the game. Obviously, we're having it after. Let me go to my seat, and I'll join you guys momentarily.
Excellent. But yes, everyone, I got this question from John. John, I saw this question first. I'll answer it. Can Cryer and Shed both come back next year? Yes, they can. I doubt that they will, but yes, they can. They have their COVID extra year to use. I doubt that they will do that. But let's talk about the fun, the vibe, the atmosphere. John said it also. Great game from a great crowd. The crowd was outstanding. The crowd was loud 20 seconds into the game. I mean, it was loud. I think the largest attendance inside Fertitta Center this ever, 7,904. And they were loud. I had a little bit of an old man moment before the game started when I saw some Longhorn fans, some youngsters, probably college student age, walking in with their horns up, talking junk, and some other UA students talking junk back to them. And I was like, please, y'all chill, because they got kind of vocal back and forth. But it was a great game, great win for the Cougs. The game was tied at 17, and then the Cougs went on a big run that extended into the second half. Cougs led by as much as 22 in the ball game, 26 in the ball game, and won. Final score 82-61. The numbers are just fantastic. Let me see if I can pull them up. And salute to everybody. VZ Love, Miss Wanda, of course. This is a new name I haven't seen before on the show. Thank you, Ahmed, for joining us on Let's Rage Cougs. We appreciate it. Tell your friends about it. Let's Rage Cougs is the original post-game show for Houston men's basketball and Houston football. But today, stat line, LJ Cryer, season high, 26 points, 9 for 13 from 3, 6 for 9 from 3, 9 for 13 overall. Jamal Shed, 16 points, 6 for 11 from the floor. Emmanuel Sharp was 5 for 11 before his last miss. He was 5 for 10. So at that point, this would have been the first game, I believe, Shed, Cryer, and Sharp all shot 50% or better in the same game. If they do that, the Cougs will be very tough to beat. Not saying it's going to happen often, but if Cryer, Sharp, and Shed make 50% of their shots from the floor in the same game. Man. But after the game, Max Asmus said, and Dylan DeSuze said as well, Longhorns, that the Cougars were the tougher team today. Houston out-toughed them. The Cougs were more physical than them. Coach Terry said Longhorns, the Cougs won the battle of the boards, second chance points. Cougs had a 14-7. Cougs 19-4 points off turnovers. Just added up. The Cougs did the great job, played Cougar basketball, took care of the basketball, as Coach Sampson likes to call it, the Cougs Holy Trinity. Rebound, defend, and take care of the basketball. Houston only had 8 turnovers in the ball game. I rebounded the Horns 45-34. It was just a great win. And I'm an older UH alum. So if you're new to this show, as I said earlier, it is always great when the Cougs always in anything. But today, 82-61, the Houston Cougars beat the Texas Longhorns. The Cougs are now 9-3 overall, 9-3 in conference play, 22-3 overall. Mr. Yanni is joining me, and my. Today's win by the Cougs.
Yes, sir.
Iowa State's win also today sets up kind of an important game. Monday night in 2 days, battle for first place inside Fertitta Center. Looking forward to it. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, especially after I just had that slice of star pizza, pepperoni pizza. Every time I have it, I get reminded of how good that crust is. What they put on that crust is some type of garlicky, buttery, whatever they put on it. It's toasted perfection. I'm doing
what
great.
Did they bring us?
And they gave us an extra pizza. So we have pepperoni. You have the supreme, and then they gave us a cheese pizza on top of that as well. Cool. So we have really well taken care of. Of course, always say big thank you and a shout out to Mike and Jennifer Pittman, but for hooking that up here. Star Pizza, obviously the go-to pizza place before and after each and every single Houston Cougars game. We're going to talk a little bit later on in the show about what they're, no pun intended, well, I guess pun intended, a very bad pun, are cooking up one of the players on the Houston Cougars men's basketball team. But talking about this game, Chris, you said it absolutely. It's always good when the University of Houston beats a dreaded school in Austin at anything. But in this type of game atmosphere, men's basketball, to sweep the Texas Longhorns in the regular season, that's a great accomplishment, especially for Houston Cougar alums everywhere. They're rejoicing and enjoying that fact. And in this game, that second half, the last 5 minutes of, not the second half, the last 5 minutes of the first half were the difference in the game. Houston was able to outscore the Longhorns 21-10 to close out that first half. And really, again, with a double-digit cushion, they were leading 40-27 at halftime, and they never looked back. They only built it, made it stronger. You mentioned the comments by Max Asmus after the game where they Houston out-toughed the Longhorns, and you could see it from on the court. As you were alluding to it before I hopped on, LJ Cryer, Jamal Shead, Emmanuel Sharp, they had it going offensively in this game, and this is not just a knock against the Longhorns or anything. I don't think many teams, if any, maybe you could make an argument of UConn, the top teams, Iowa State, we're going to see in here on Monday night that could hang with Houston when they got those 3 players going. But to piggyback on what the crowd here started chanting as the game was winding down and the Longhorns were clearly defeated. Hey, SEC as the Longhorns left the court inside of the Fertitta Center here on this Saturday afternoon.
Real quick, I'll just leave the comment up because I want to give thanks to Brandon for his purchase of a Houston Round Bar Review mug. Thank you very much, Brandon. I'm glad you are enjoying it. Salute to anyone who buys Awesome Agenda, Let's Rage Coogs merch, as well as Houston Round Bar Review merch. We have links all of our platforms. You can support us that way with some merch, shirts, mugs, etc. But yes, it's funny. Ahmed says this. Right here. It's time to move on from this game during the post game.
Sounds like Kelvin Sampson.
Exactly. Kelvin Sampson. Coach Sampson said, I don't even want to talk about this game anymore. I'm ready to talk about Iowa State. I'm focused on Iowa State already. I was like, man,
We're
Coach,
gonna hear from
this is the
Kelvin in a
post
bit.
game show. It's the post game show.
Yes.
It's the press conference for today about Houston beating Texas. I'm focused on Iowa State. All right, Coach. But it was
It's
great.
gonna be a big showdown, but
Yes.
for us, we'll take a step back and obviously get to break down and enjoy, which was again, it's something to celebrate when the Houston Cougars knocked down the Longhorns. But in this game, what really stood out, and the two Texas players that spoke to media after the game, as well as their head coach Rodney Terry, spoke to it. But the physicality in this game was something that the Texas Longhorns struggled to adjust in this game. And quite frankly, I think I found some of their post-game comments a little bit interesting. They made it seem like they felt that the officials swallowed the whistles. I thought that the officials called a lot of fouls where maybe here and there won't necessarily have been called, but they struggled to adjust the physicality.
To me, was, and John Doe, as a Longhorn fan, thank you for chiming in. Thank you for supporting our show. Appreciate it. But early on, like the very first foul called, I thought, oh my goodness, the refs are going to call it real tight. I was like, because at one point in the first half, the Cougars did not have any free throw attempts. Longhorns, I think, were 3 for 5, something like that. They had attempted the only free throws in the game. And I was like, oh man, they're going to call it tight. It's going to be tough on the Cougs. And the next thing you know, Houston got to the foul line. Both teams missed free throws there in the first half, but it kind of evened out. And as the Cougars, as LJ said after the game, as Jamal said after the game, we play how we practice. We practice how we play. Didn't seem to be anything different to me about physicality. I was like, this is another Houston Cougar basketball game to me.
Yeah, watching the game on TV, it definitely seemed like they allow the players to play a little physical more than some refs allow. A lot of hand checking was allowed, in which typically they call a lot of fouls on Houston because of that, where you touch a player on the hip in regards to hip checking. And that was I watched them quite a bit of replays. They allowed a lot of contact they normally don't allow, especially on offensive players nowadays, because they want the games to be fast-paced and a lot more scoring. So, but I think that benefits Houston, and you could tell Jamal had 5 steals. They were able to get out in transition and get some fast break buckets, and I think they helped them really well.
Oh, no question. I think all three of us agree. When the refs let the Cougs play, don't call it tight. Advantage Houston.
Advantage Houston.
No doubt.
Big time.
No doubt.
Far and away. Welcome in, Dayon. I wanted to bring up this comment from Raul HD. He says, allow him to be the unprofessional here as an audience member because we only play Texas for 1 year in the conference and never see them again. But horns down, of course, Houston Cougars fans rejoicing in this victory. But from the get-go, I think something that was, I don't even know if you can say underrated, but really gave the tone or the statement of what this game was going to be like from the Houston Cougars perspective. Juwan Roberts early was phenomenal. He was active. He was jumping. He had 2 blocks. I mean, one of them got called a foul, but he was active early. He had a little bit of an injury scare there in the first half. I don't know what necessarily it was. He was fine. He came back in the game, and he looked fine for the rest of it. So he kind of set the tone early from the defensive side of things. The entire Houston Cougars team set the tone, but he certainly made some big plays early on.
In the audience, what you too, Dayon, I did not see if Juan got hit in the face or whatever to be helped to the bench, but it got silent in the building. And next, because we were typing, stuff about the game, so I didn't even see what happened to him. So I was kind of concerned, but then I saw John Houston, the trainer, talking to Juan on the bench, focusing on Juwan's face and not his knees or anything like that. Moments later, Juan comes back to the game. I'm good. Well, he's fine. So no need to worry about all that. But I told this to Andy, said to Andy, Juan had a post up in the, I think, first half. And the Longhorns, the double team was late. And Juan just kicked it out to LJ for it was LJ or Emmanuel, wide open 3. And I was like, this is too easy. But that's the kind of look, Dan and I talked about, we'd like to see Houston do more, is go to Juan in the post more, because it could draw that double time. It will draw the double team and open it up for the perimeter shooters to get open looks. And that's what it did. Texas kind of stopped doing that after that. But the different ways for Houston to get offense. LJ had a role in the day. That trailer three that LJ got from a pass from Jamal Shed was just teammates clicking. That chemistry they have with each other. That's a good. Your thoughts on this, Dayon? Coach Sampson said one of his things he said after the game that we were solid today. We weren't great. We were solid in a lot of areas. What do you think about that?
Before I answer that, to your previous point about J1, one of the other beautiful plays he made in that first half, the double team came late as he was backing down. He still made the right play, dropped it down to Javier, who made the dunk. And that was just so impressive play because double team came late. He still was patient, read the defense, and make the right play. And to your point, continue the game going on. Fast forward, he continues to make the play. He scores, and they try to double, and they got to kick out to the shooter. So he was just in a matchup nightmare. He's such a smart decision maker with the basketball, and that really stood out to me. And then, I mean, to your question with Coach Sampson, I think I can see that. I can see that. I think playing on the road is tough. I think Houston came out with a lot of energy, a lot of toughness on defense, and really forced Max Asmith to take a lot of tough shots. And one foul on Emmanuel was a bad call. That was a horrible call. It showed it on the replay. That was a horrible call. And so I think it was solid. I think the most thing that for me just watching the game was offensively. First time Jamal and LJ had it going. I think
and Emmanuel, all three at the same time. Yeah,
and Emmanuel, the guards had it going, and it's all predicated with Jamal. I think just watching him, his shot selection, that they were trying to keep him from out of the paint, so he could play this mid-range game, got his floater game going, and then settled in on his mid-range jump shot, in which that just opens up his entire game, offensive game, and then it opens up the floor for the others. They get to making shots, and so I think it was solid in regards to offensive. I mean, it was a great game. I think he's just setting the standard and let them know this is the level to where we can continue to play at. So this is a good start. This is a solid game, but we can build on this and continue going forward and be like this game in and game out.
And Andy and Dayon, and the audience, of course, with your comments, I think the days off between games last Saturday to today really benefited Juan. Okay, with the knee. And I think Coach Sampson mentioned in his coach's show that Juan gets the knee drained like every other week, something like that. So I really think the time off helped him a lot. He was fresh. He hasn't been bothered too much about it because the Cougs had a Saturday, Monday recently. It's going to be another Saturday, Monday coming up, a Monday game against Iowa State. So we'll see how the knee responds. But today overall was the best the offense has looked. Well, I joked about it, but I was very serious. The offense looks great when you're making shots. Okay, because the Cougs in recent games have had open looks, but missed. Today they made a lot of their open looks today.
And it was in the flow. Yeah. I mean, it seems like they were in a good rhythm. I mean, from like you talked about the chemistry and transition, just to being able to break down the defense, knowing where the next open player is going to be, whether it's inside, outside. I just played a complete rhythm, and the offense looked good because of one, they're making open shots.
Chris, we'll get to Coug Nation 92's comment because we were talking about it during the game on the topic of Malik Wilson at the point guard. But first and foremost, we'd like to thank each and every single person that's watching us, whether it be on the YouTube channels, Part-Time Jammy YouTube channels, or the Houston Round Bar Review YouTube channel, or on X.com, or Chris, like you call it, Musk. We appreciate you guys taking time out of your Saturday afternoons to watch Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Saxenian Family. Let's Rage Coogs, the original Houston postgame show after each and every single men's basketball and football show game. And of course, we also like to say thank you to Star Pizza for not only providing us pizza after the game here today when number 3 ranked Houston dominated the Texas Longhorns, but also for being the secondary sponsor to today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs with multiple locations across the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after a Houston Cougars victory like it is today. We also like to say, put this on the radar. I kind of teased it earlier in the show, Chris, but they have officially reached another NIL deal with a member of the Houston Cougars men's basketball team, and coming soon, we actually played the commercials last season. We were part of the Let's Rage Cougs, but let's put this picture up here. An NIL deal that they have reached right now. And this is a teaser of a new commercial to come. So
okay,
when that does indeed come out, it's gonna be, I'm sure, gonna be another good commercial video that's soon to be out again promoting Star Pizza. So Ryan Elvin, congratulations on him on reaching an NIL deal through the Hoop and Holler Houston Cougar Micro Collective. So on that note, let's hear what head coach Kelvin Sampson had to say following the Houston Cougars' big win over the Texas Longhorns. Oh, give it a moment there. Technical difficulties with the audio.
Well, no. Well, while we're getting the audio
give me a
working, I want to comment a little bit on this. I don't know how much of the celebrities CBS showed, but Akeem was here. C.J. Stroud was here. Tank Dell was here. Former Cougar players, Jarris Walker was here. Marcus Sasser was here. Nate Henson was here. Jason DeRoe was here. Was he? Yeah, I think he was here as well. But it was just, and Coach touched on it after the game. It's just great to see. Oh, Kyler Edwards as well.
Mm-hmm.
Former Cougar players come back, and it's a great point. Jarris and Marcus are, this is NBA All-Star weekend. They chose to come home to a Houston Cougar Longhorn game rather than be in Indy for the All-Star festivities. So I think that's just a great indicator of how much the bond between the former players and the program have established. And without getting into specifics.
Not just the UH Cougar alums, Chris. Sorry not to me to cut you off.
No.
Make the point. Tank Dell for football was here. Darius
C.J. Stroud.
I saw him.
Yep.
Bowser was here. C.J. Stroud, who played in the Celebrity All-Star game.
Yep. Kendrick Perkins as well was there. Yep. Big Perk.
That just goes to show that Houston Cougars men's basketball, they're a hot ticket, a commodity in the city of Houston, period. Not just for UH Cougars alum. Like I said, C.J. Stroud was playing in the Celebrity game yesterday.
Yep.
He was in Indianapolis, flew back to town to watch this game. So I know that Kelvin Sampson kind of, to bring up Joe Mendez's comment, speaks volumes of the program. I know Kelvin Sampson kind of downplayed it, like they've been that hot ticket for multiple seasons, not just this season. But again, it's definitely a good time to reflect and really see how much attention, how much buzz there is around this Houston Cougars program.
Also shows how much fun you can have in Houston. Let's not mention how big, because you could come have vacation in Houston.
Coach Sampson, he tries to keep everybody level-headed. Let's put it like that. But yes, the program is at a point now where they expect to win, so that is clear. But what I want to say, with the former players coming back today, is the great job Coach Sampson, Lauren, everyone within the program have done to connect and honestly reconnect with former players, because that was a big problem for a long time with Houston basketball. They just did not stay in touch with former players. And now players from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, they feel like they are part of Houston Cougar basketball once again. So salute to Coach, because Coach Kelvin, he really emphasized it. It's important.
Coach B, shout out to Coach B, Coach Bilal. That's one of his
that's
roles.
Exactly.
He steps up and does that a lot, reaching out to players to make sure it's a family atmosphere.
Yes.
Spearheaded by Coach Sampson, because he leads that, and Coach B takes the initiative to do that. Coach Bilal. So shout out to him. And it's a good time, like Chris always says. It's one of the golden ages. And so it's a part of not only when they're willing and winning, they welcome you back to some of the best times when they're rolling. Just builds the family atmosphere.
Excellent. And salute to you for bringing up B as well. Yep. Andy, get it figured out?
It looks like
audio.
Yes. Let's try this one more time.
Oh, real quick, while you're doing that, John Jamal's stat line, he had 6 assists and 6 steals.
We got it. 6 assists and 6 steals. And he's setting career high with 11 rebounds as well.
Yeah.
So let's hear what Kelvin Sampson had to say following Houston's big win over the Texas Longhorns.
Whether it's Oklahoma or here, I handle it all the same. I don't get carried away with nothing. this game is history to me now. And I'm not saying that as coach speak. Well, coaches say that. I don't give a shit what other coaches say. I'm saying it now that this game means nothing to me right now. The only thing I'm concerned about is Iowa State. Iowa State. Anything outside of that is wasting my time. You know, we're 9-3 in the league. They're 9-3 in the league, but we're also 2 games out of 8th place probably. I haven't looked at I don't know who won today, but everybody's so bunched up. You know, we don't have our chest pushed out because we are 9-3. You know, the difference of 9-3 and 7-5 in this league is an open shot or a bad whistle or a good whistle. You know, a loose ball here and there. So, you know, we've won too much to get excited about winning. I don't mean that. I hope you don't take that the wrong way. But, you know, we expect to win. And being a 1 seed, I didn't know we were a 1 seed until Bill Rafferty interviewed me a while ago and was telling me. I think he told me that before the game, actually. I don't know, man. It just doesn't matter to me about stuff like that. If we win Monday night, could be 10-3, right? If we lose, we could be 9-4. So I'm more worried about that than the other stuff. Felt like a lot of other games to me. One of the best environments I've ever seen was when we were down 12 or 14 to LSU about 7 or 8 years ago. Did I just say 7 or 8 years ago? Ever how many years it was? That crowd. The crowd against Cincinnati, where Dejan Giroux scored 18 points in the second half. So to me, this is a normal crowd. We have a lot of crowds like this tonight.
Coach, how do you coach the players? It's a very physical game. How do you coach them to say, okay, this is the level of physicality without getting a foul? I mean, it's just shy of a UFC fight with the elbows and stuff. And that's basketball. How do you tell them this is the level that you're going to play at?
Well, it's not easy officiating. Anybody's games goes to the athleticism level is so high, but we play exactly the way we practice. You know, probably from September until 2 weeks before we play in November, I don't call fouls because I'd rather tone a kid down than have to tune him up. It's hard to tune kids up. You know, we get on our kids about our intensity level. He really struggled with it when he came here. He had to learn to play physical. Just because you're 5'11" doesn't mean you're physical. The most overrated thing in basketball is how tall you are. You know, it's your toughness level, your competitiveness level. You know, it's not getting on the floor after a loose ball. It's being the first on the floor after a loose ball. When the ball goes up, everything is a competition. That guy's trying to block me out. I'm trying to get to his outside shoulder so I either can get it or tip it. That therein is a competition within the game. So we make a competition of everything, and we try to win all our competitions. Because there's a huge difference in playing hard and competing. Every team we play against plays hard, but they all don't compete. Our kids compete.
Jamal, in the beginning of the second, it seemed like you guys really took control there.
Our defense was really good. We were active in pick and roll defense. We had a lot of deflections, loose balls, and we started converting. I mean, we had a lot of looks that we weren't making. You know, J1 and JVR and Maul, I think, all missed layups over 4-possession period. Once we started, but our defense didn't change. You know, we talk about our holy trinity all the time. We defend, we rebound, we take care of the ball. You know, and if you get a shot every possession, for us it's important more so than other teams, maybe because of the emphasis we place on offensive rebounding. So, kids that didn't get it did a great job at tipping it out. Tip outs usually lead to extra passes, and those are open shots. Our defense was good. We had a good plan. for Dessou, because you do have to plan for him. I don't know what he did. He was 5 for 13, 2 for 4. He's a gifted offensive player for a big guy. And he's really good. But I felt like we had a good plan. Same thing with Avis. Those were obviously two guys we focused mostly on. But we were solid. I'd describe us in that area. I don't think we were great at anything today. I think we were just pretty solid at everything.
So once again, that was Houston Cougars head coach Kelvin Sampson. And to answer Rex 32's question, did someone tick him off at the press conference? No one did. Most definitely not me. So he was just naturally
he was locked in.
I think he's ready. He's ready. He looks ahead. And honestly, I think that's just more a testament to, I mean, what he said is absolutely true. Yeah, they're 10-3, or they're 9-3 now. They're sitting atop tied place in the Big 12 Conference, but a loss here and a loss there, and they're right in the middle of the pack of the entire Big 12, which you look at the road ahead. They have to play at Baylor a week from today. The big game that I didn't mean to overshadow, but yeah, number 10 Iowa State is coming into the Fertitta Center Monday night. They have to play Kansas again, so there's no guarantees. The season's not over. They still got a long way to go. And I think that's just a testament to how Kelvin Sampson's wired. Like he said, this game's already in the rearview mirror. Obviously, they're gonna look at the film, dissect what there might have been some breakdowns here and there, and learn from it. But he's ready for Monday night in a big game. It'll be another great crowd here inside the Fertitta Center.
Yeah, and both teams. I mean, I expect Baylor to beat West Virginia today, so they remain one game behind Houston and Iowa State. But surprise, Oklahoma State beat BYU 93-83 at home in Stillwater. I mean, Oklahoma State has struggled to score points all year, so them to score 93 against BYU, that's a big surprise. But Monday's game, honestly, the change to 8 o'clock start, that's the important thing.
On a holiday.
Going from ESPN to ESPN is nice, but going from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, that's a big deal. Man, I mean, this place, everybody should be in their seat by tip-off, unlike a 6 o'clock start. So whoever made that change, ESPN, the conference, whoever, thank you very much for getting that done.
Yeah, watching this game, to me, one thing that stood out to me, I think that Coach Sampson realized and the staff realized is their lineup. I think with Malik being that sixth man off the bench, what he brings, his energy, his ability to rebound, he brings more rebounding. I can't think of all the tips and defensive tips, rebounds he got, and deflections. I really like that. I think he brings that extra edge and what they need, and he can add. He's another slasher to complement the other guards to what they have, and I really like that adjustment. And then I think when you bring Damian in after that, regards that next bench, he can kind of primarily focus on with that particular lineup to do what he does well and get into his spots and kind of make the plays that he can make. And so it looks like, and I think that Houston may have settled into their rotation for the rest of the year. But you never know because it depends on matchups as well.
Right. And Malik is
that's a great point.
Okay. No. He's had, what was it?
He had 19 assists for the season. He had one assist today in this game against the Longhorns. So now he has 20 for the season. So I don't think that's necessarily his strength. His strength today, he showed it. And like I said, Chris, we talked about it the entire time during the game. But he can go in there, played great defense, which especially the last couple of games, he has really had an uptick in just being a disruptor. It seems like he's always getting his hands on loose balls, poking. There was an aspect today in that first half that honestly kind of sparked that 21-10 run that Houston had against Texas, where Jamal Shead had just hit a floater. Texas came down the other end, and it was Malik Wilson that poked the ball loose, went straight into the hands of Jamal Shead, and then ended up being a fast break for Houston that ended with an LJ Cryer 3 and put them up by 7, and Houston never looked back. 7 rebounds at one point. He finished the game with 7 rebounds. So, from a guard position, how important that is for Kelvin Sampson to have guards rebound, because they can be the ones that ignite go from there. And to your point, Dayon, it definitely looks like Kelvin Sampson has his rotation. It's 9 deep. And Chris, again, we were talking about it during the game. As of now, and it's subject to change. It depends on matchups. It depends on foul trouble. It depends on a whole bunch of different various factors. But it is Malik Wilson first ahead of Damian Dunn. Right now, it looks like Damian Dunn is the 9th man in the rotation.
Behind
And
Ramon
you're kind of behind Ramon Walker, but I don't really look at it like that because Ramon Walker's coming in from J1.
Yeah,
I look at it primarily
how it
for
works
guards.
today,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but to Coach Sampson's point about getting shots up and getting on the rim, and to Malik, when he comes in the game, he's not necessarily looking to score versus Damian, who's a scorer, who has a scorer's mindset. So I think Malik coming into, like I just said a second ago, coming in with not really a mindset to score, looking to get those tips, looking to get those rebounds, looking to do all the intangible things. It's really a good asset when he's coming in, whether it's for LJ, whether it's for Emmanuel. Most of the time he's playing with Jamal, so most of the time Jamal's on the floor with them. But whether he's coming in for one of those two, he brings that, and he can allow those other two guards on the floor with him to really focus on scoring and doing all the other things. But primarily on the offensive end, he isn't really looking to score. He's looking. I mean, that isn't his focus, I would say. He's looking to score because sometimes he's aggressive, looks to get the basket, looks to finish, but that isn't his focus, I would say, on the offensive end. He's looking to get the rebounds, looking to get those tip outs.
I would also say offensively, sorry, Chris, offensively, he seems to be much more of a combo guard, much more shooting guard than a true point guard. He's a slasher. He likes to get into the paint, and he is a really good job at being able to do that, by the way. The amount of times he's able to get to the rim and make it look easily has been quite often throughout the season now. Sometimes, when he gets down there, he doesn't necessarily finish at the level of, say, Jamal Shead or some of the other players on the team, but his ability to get to the rim is by far none a very great asset that Malik Wilson has. Now, to mentioned Coogs Nation's comment, he said not as good as Shed when it comes to replacement as a point guard on the floor, but
LJ is that backup point guard.
Exactly.
It's been LJ. It's been LJ. It hasn't been Malik. Malik got those wash play point guard minutes at the end of the game, but it's been LJ primarily handling the ball with Malik off the ball.
And the thing add to that, Malik, I like him to take an extra dribble. I'm always saying it's like I said with JV earlier in the season, and dunk the ball. He's athletic enough to dunk rather than lay it up. Just dunk it. He can he's one of the best leapers on the team. So finish strong, go through that contact, because he had a shot block. Malik should not be getting shot blocked. I don't care. Dylan came over, whoever it was. He's a good enough leaper to finish strong and dunk it. So I'd like him to take that just an extra dribble to get closer to the rim and finish strong with a dunk. But other than that, I think he is now set in his role. His role has been defined for him the last few games, and he's comfortable in it. Because Dan, I hope you get a kick out of this. Bleak got a foul early, and I said to Andy, because Coach left him in the game. I said to Andy,
he yelled at him.
Yeah, but he kept him in the game. I was expecting Coach to take him out. So he's developed that trust in Malik to keep him in the game, even if he made a foul. So that's a difference from like a month ago.
And that you can see the confidence in Malik in that, knowing, okay, my role is defined. I'm not going to get pulled out. And he's now playing with that assertive, doing those things that he realized will keep him on the floor. So I think he's settled in. The coaching staff is all settled in the roles. And I think now this team is about to hit their stride.
Big time. John Ruggieri's comments. Let's hear what Rodney Terry had to say. It's a short clip, but we do have here what he said post-game. Here's what he had to say specifically about the praise that he gave LJ Cryer and Jamal Shead.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, again, that we know, obviously been in this league for a number of years with him, that's going to shoot the ball extremely well, especially at home. You can't give him any open looks. He's a guy that's a shot maker. They need his threes, and with second chance points, on a kick out, you can't give those up. And he played well today. He shot the ball extremely well, and when he's playing at that level and making baskets for them, they're extremely difficult to deal with.
Imagine the same can be said for Shed, sort of the head of the Snake, as they say, just his ability to not only create shots but also to get others involved?
Yeah, Shed's a tough matchup. He's a guy that can get downhill. He plays really hard-nosed defense for him, and really kind of, to your point, the head of the snake in terms of really how those guys play and how hard they play. He started the game. He was really comfortable. He didn't really feel us much in the first half. Thought we were much better in the second half with him, but he's kind of doing what he wanted to do out there.
Coach, this game came down to